When we're writing chords in 4 parts, we're going to keep encountering a couple issues. First of all, if you've got 4 different parts and you're dealing with triads, you have to double something. You're going to use 3 notes to make the triad, but then you've got to have something for that other part to do, the 4th part to do. So you'll end up having to double something. That's going to bring in the doubling rules, as they're called. Also, sometimes we'll have to omit something, because mainly of issues of voice leading. Making sure that things resolve, tendency tones get where they need to, we'll have to omit notes at times. Best thing to omit is the chordal 5th, rather. You hardly miss it. Now, if you hear something like this, here's a chord, triad, I'm just playing a C major triad, and if I just leave out that 5th, it doesn't lack very much. Try it here too, another position. Now if I leave out that note there, you really don't miss it in that voicing. A lot of times you hardly even miss it. Part of it's the fact that the 5th of the chord is pretty prominent as an overtone, and so to omit it hardly changes the sound. It's very subtle. So that's something you can omit without really altering the richness of the sound of the chord. Let's talk about doubling. Normally what you hear is double the root, double the 5th, but don't double the chordal 3rd. I have to take that with a grain of salt, though, because the way you voice it really does matter. Let's say we're dealing with a 1/6 in C. It is really typical to end up doubling that note in the bass, E in this case, so that maybe I end up with something like this. That is absolutely fine. You are doubling the chordal 3rd, the very thing that most textbooks say not to do. Now, our textbook is very careful and says in this inversion you can double it. So take that with a big grain of salt and think more about intervals from the bass. If you double the E when it's, in this case, a first inversion chord, you're doubling the bass note and you're creating more emphasis on that octave. You're emphasizing something of its stability, and that's always going to be fine. So let me put it this way. Instead of don't double the chordal 3rd, say, let's double what's most stable. When we're trying to decide what to double, if you're doubling the bass note, you're going to create more stability by adding an octave to the mix, and that's fine. Now we have to be careful about these big principles that we make, because if we say, okay, so let's say from this, if we double the bass note, that's always going to be fine, because you're creating a consonant interval, just adding an octave up above. That will not always work, because this principle still guides our thought here. Check this one out. Here's a 5/6 chord. Here's a leading tone. And I say, okay, great, I'll double it. Here's my chord. See, now here's my B doubled. I've created an octave. And you say, boy, that's stable, as in terms of creating an octave. That's a stable interval. But the problem is you're doubling something that in the key is very unstable. You want to double what's most stable, not what's unstable. Now, why is that unstable? It's the leading tone. The leading tone's a tendency tone. So you don't want to double. Let me put that down as another big principle. Do not double a tendency tone. We've talked about 2 tendency tones. This one, the leading tone, and the chordal 7th. You don't double them no matter what, even if it is the note in the bass. Notice how this just helps reinforce the principle we laid out up above. Double what is most stable, and don't double a tendency tone, because it's not stable. Keep this as your main guiding principle when you're trying to decide what to double. Double what sounds really stable, but don't double what's unstable.